Hello grade 9 students! Welcome back to my channel, Mathematics and Me. In this video, you will learn how to find the trigonometric ratios of special angles using hand trick. Yes, you are right. There is a hand trick that will help you find the exact trigonometric ratio or values. By the way, this topic is for the week 2, quarter 4 of Mathematics 9. And if you are excited class to learn this topic using hand trick, let us now start. So this is the learning activity sheet number 2 or last 2. And it focuses on finding trigonometric ratios of special angles. And for the objective of this last 2, you as a student must find the trigonometric ratios of special angles. So before we proceed with this topic, let us have this definition of terms. So when we say special right triangles, we are actually pertaining to the two types of special right triangles. And these two types of right triangles are the 45-45-90 right triangle and the 30-60-90 right triangle. But let us start first with the 45-45-90 right triangle. So according to this 45-45-90 right triangle theorem, in a 45-45-90 right triangle, the legs are congruent and the hypotenuse is square root of 2 times the length of the leg. So the legs in this triangle are this A and A. So these are the legs. And this is another leg. And according to this 45-45-90 right triangle theorem, the legs are congruent. So this measures A and this measures also A. Let's say for example, if your A is equal to 8, this is equal to 8, this leg is also equal to 8 because the legs in a 45-45-90 right triangle are congruent, while the hypotenuse is square root of 2 times the length of the leg. So the hypotenuse, this is your hypotenuse. Remember that your hypotenuse is the longest side and is opposite the right angle. So your hypotenuse measures A the square root of 2. So if your A is 8, the hypotenuse is 8 the square root of 2. Did you get it? Okay, so let's have another example. What if the measure of this leg, the measure of this leg is, this is 15. So if this is 15, this is also what? This is also 15. Because the legs in a 45-45 right triangle are congruent or equal. And the hypotenuse is equal to A is 15 and just copy square root of 2. So the hypotenuse is 15 square root of 2. By the way, what if we have another triangle? Let's say we have here a right triangle. Sorry for my drawing. This is a right triangle. So this is a right triangle. Right triangle A, B, and C. So what if the measure of your hypotenuse is 3 the square root of 2? What is the measure of your legs? Remember that your hypotenuse is a the square root of 2. So this is your a, 3. So AC is 3 and BC is also 3. So easy as that. But this is not the focus of our topic. So we will now proceed to 30, 60, 90 right triangle theorem. So, how about this right triangle theorem? In a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the length of the hypotenuse, so the length of the hypotenuse is twice the length of the shorter leg. By the way, before we proceed, your shorter leg here is this. Okay, this is your shorter leg, and it is so obvious in a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. So this is your shorter leg, while the longer leg is this one. Okay, this is the longer leg. And of course, the hypotenuse is the longest leg. So this is the hypotenuse. This one. So, you have to remember that the shorter leg is always opposite the smaller angle. So, 30 degrees, smallest angle opposite or smaller angle opposite to the shorter leg. The hypotenuse is opposite the right angle. And the longer leg is opposite to the 60 degrees. Again, I will repeat, the shorter leg is opposite the 30 degrees and the longer leg is opposite the 60 degrees, while the hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle or the 90 degrees. So we will now remove this to be clear. Okay. So let's proceed. Hypotenuse is twice the length of the shorter leg. So if your shorter leg is A, the hypotenuse is twice A. So your hypotenuse is 2A because it is twice the length of the shorter leg. And the longer leg is square root of 3 times the length of the shorter leg. So if your shorter leg again is A, your longer leg is A times square root of 3. So let's say, for example, let's give a value. What if your A is 2? So your A is 2. What is your hypotenuse? Your hypotenuse is 2 times, this is 2A. So your A is 2, so this will be 2 times 2. So your hypotenuse is 4. How about this longer leg? So again, your A is 2 times square root of 3. So your longer leg is 2 the square root of 3, your shorter leg is 2, and your hypotenuse is 4. So did you get it, class? I hope so. So let us now again proceed to the next slide. So from the previous illustrations, we can find the trigonometric ratios of special angles. And in this slide, we will begin with 45 degrees. By the way, please remember the 6 trigonometric ratios. What are the 6 trigonometric ratios? We have sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and then cotangent. If you didn't recall these 6 trigonometric ratios, just remember your so, ka, towa, and then sho, sha, cow. So just remember that acronyms. So, katowa, and then sho, sha, cow. So how will we get the ratio for this 6 trigonometric function? So for sine, we have the sine is opposite over adjacent. So we have here opposite over hypotenuse, by the way, sorry. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. For the cosine, we have adjacent over hypotenuse. And for the tangent, we have opposite over adjacent. So opposite over adjacent. And for the reciprocals of these 3 basic trigonometric functions, we will just interchange the numerator and the denominator, or you will just use the acronym sho, sha, cow. So for the cosecant, we have hypotenuse over opposite. So we have here hypotenuse over opposite. And for the secant, we have hypotenuse over adjacent. And for the cotangent, we have adjacent over opposite. So adjacent over opposite. Okay? So this time, we will make use of the reference angle 45 degrees. So this will be our reference angle. So to find the reference angle, so using the reference angle 45 degrees, we can actually find the 6 trigonometric ratios. So we will write here sine of 45 degrees. Okay, so this will be sine 45 degrees. Equals, sorry for my pen, it's not working properly. Okay, sine 45 degrees, cosine 45 degrees, tangent 45 degrees, cosecant 45 degrees, secant 45 degrees, and cotangent 45 degrees. So, how will we get the trigonometric ratios of these functions? So, by looking at the reference angle, what is opposite? The opposite is A. So, we will write here A over the hypotenuse is A square root of 2. So, we will write here A square root of 2. So, sine 45 degrees is equal to A over A the square root of 2. But still, we can still simplify this ratio. So, we can cancel out A in the numerator and A in the denominator. So, we have 1 over square root of 2. And 1 over square root of 2 can be further rationalized. So, we can rationalize it by multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by square root of 2. So, 1 times square root of 2 is square root of 2 over square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2. So, sine 45 degrees is square root of 2 over 2. Next, cosine 45 degrees. What is the adjacent of this? The adjacent is still A. So, we will write here A over hypotenuse again is A square root of 2. So we put here a square root of 2. So just like in sine 45 degrees, we will cancel out a. So we have 1 over square root of 2. And by rationalizing, we will arrive to the same answer just like in sine 45. We have square root of 2 over 2. So the value of cosine 45 degrees is same as the value of sine 45 degrees. They are both square root of 2 over 2. How about in tangent 45 degrees? So the opposite is a, and the adjacent is also a. And if we will cancel out a in the numerator and a in the denominator, the final answer is 1. So tangent 45 degrees is equal to 1. And to make it simpler or easier for you, remember that sine 45 degrees sine, cosine, and tangent are the basic trigonometric functions. And their reciprocal functions are cosecant, secant, and then cotangent. So if you already get the ratio of this function or this basic trigonometric function, you will just interchange the numerator and the denominator. So if sine 45 degrees is a square root of 2 over 2, the cosecant 45 degrees will be 2 over square root of 2. And if we will further rationalize this, multiply by both square root of 2. So we have here 2 square root of 2. Wait. I will just erase this. Erase natin this. Okay. Let's make it a little bit smaller because wala na tayo masyadong space. Okay. So, interchange lang natin yung dalawa. So, square root of 2 over 2, it will become 2 over square root of 2. So, if we will rationalize it, we will multiply both the numerator and the denominator by square root of 2. So, we have 2 square root of 2 over 2. And then, we can cancel out 2 in the numerator and 2 in the denominator. So, the cosecant 45 is square root of 2. So, cosecant 45 is square root of 2. Next, remember that sine 45 and cosine 45, same value. So, secant 45 and cosine 45 also have same value. So, this is also square root of 2. How about cotangent 45 degrees? What is adjacent? Adjacent is a, and then opposite is also a. So this is also equal to 1. And the reciprocal of 1 is also 1. So cotangent 45 degrees is 1. I know that using this method is a little confusing to you, class. So I decided to use the hand trick or to use your left hand as a tool in finding the ratio or the value of these trigonometric functions, of these 6 trigonometric functions. So let's have this. So there is a question here. Did you know that there is a hand trick in finding trigonometric ratios or values? Yes, there is. And you will be using your left hand in this trick. So let's say, for example, By the way, before we proceed to the example, let me give you the rule and this hand trick. First is take your left hand facing your face. So, make sure that your palm is facing your face. Next, you have to assign the following values to your fingers. So, this little finger represents 0 degrees. Your ring finger represents 30 degrees. Your middle finger represents 45 degrees. Your index finger represents 60 degrees. And your thumb represents 90 degrees. Just remember that representation, class. Because as we go through this topic or as we go through the exercises, you will always remember these representations. And then third is, you have to fold the finger that represents the angle measure. So the angle measures are the 0 degrees, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, and then 90 degrees. So to understand how to perform this hand trick, let's have this example. By the way, let's have first the sine function. So to find the measure or to find the ratio or the values of sine theta, we have the formula. Sine theta equals the square root of fingers below all over 2. By the way, you can also write the equation sine theta equals the square root of the number of fingers below. So the number of fingers below. Because we will be actually counting the number of fingers below the angle or below the theta all over 2. So instead of using the formula sine theta equals the square root of fingers below all over 2, you can use sine theta equals the square root of the number of fingers below all over 2. So let's have this example. You want to find the ratio or the value of sine 90 degrees. Since you use the theta 90 degrees, okay, 90 degrees, you have to fold your thumb. So your thumb represents 90 degrees. Remember that your thumb represents 90 degrees. So your thumb must be folded. Yes. And then let's perform this using the formula. So we will write here sine theta, and your theta here is 90 degrees. So you will write sine 90 degrees equals how many fingers? Square root of fingers below, or the square root of the number of fingers below. We will count how many fingers below 90 degrees. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 fingers below the theta or below 90 degrees. So we will write here square root of 4 and copy all over 2. Now let's simplify. Sine 90 degrees is equal to, what is the square root of 4? Square root of 4 is 2 because 2 times 2 is 4, and copy all over 2. And 2 over 2 is equal to 1. So, sine 90 degrees is equal to 1. So, easy as that, class. Okay? Next example. Next example is, you will get the ratio or the value of sine 60 degrees. So the finger that represents 60 degrees is this, your index finger. So you need to fold your index finger, and then later on you will count the number of fingers below this 60 degrees or below your index finger. So we will write here sine 60 degrees equals, and then let's count the square root of how many fingers below the index finger or below 60 degrees. Let's count 1, 2, 3. So we will write here square root of 3 and then copy 2. So we cannot further simplify square root of 2, square root of 3 over 2. So the value of sine 60 degrees is equal to square root of 3 all over 2. So this is now the value of sine 60 degrees. Easy, right? You will be just using your left hand and then keep on counting the number of fingers below the theta or below the fingers. Okay, next. Okay, so a while ago, we get that sine 45 is equal to what? Sine 45 is equal to square root of 2 all over 2. Okay, square root of 2 all over 2. Now, let's prove that by using this hand trick, sine 45 is really equal to square root of 2 over 2. So, you will fold the finger that represents 45 degrees. So, your middle finger represents 45 degrees. So, you will fold your middle finger. And then, let us now compute sine 45 degrees equals the square root of the fingers below the 45 degrees. So how many fingers below the middle finger or the 45 degrees? Let's count. 1, 2. So we will write here 2. So we have square root of 2 and then copy 2. Therefore, sine 45 degrees is really square root of 2 all over 2. So we get the same answer. So we can really use this hand trick to get the trigonometric ratio or trigonometric value easier and faster. Next, sine 30 degrees. So 30 degrees is your ring finger. So you will fold your ring finger because your ring finger represents 30 degrees. So let's solve. Sine 30 degrees equals the square root of how many fingers below this ring finger? We have 1. So we will write here 1 and then over 2. Okay, so what is the square root of 1? Let's simplify. Square root of 1 is 1, copy all over 2. So sine 30 degrees is equal to 1/2. Okay, next. Sine 0 degrees. So the finger that represents 0 degrees is your little finger or your pinky. So we will fold your little finger. So we write here sine 0 degrees equals the square root of the number of fingers below the 0 degrees or the little finger. Is there any finger below 0 degrees or your little finger? None. So we will write here 0. So we have square root of 0 all over 2. So the square root of 0 is what? The square root of 0 is the square root of 0 is also 0. So sine 0 degrees is equal to 0 over 2. And 0 over 2 is equal to 0. So sine 0 degrees is equal to 0. Okay? So we are now done in the sine function. Just remember that sine is always fingers below. So for your sine, it is always fingers below. Because later on, as we go on the cosine, it will not be below. It will be changed to above. So let's see. Okay, so in finding the trigonometric ratio or trigonometric value of cosine function, the formula is this. Cosine theta is equal to the square root of the fingers above all over 2. So this is the difference between the two. So in cosine, we have above. And in sine, we have below. In sine, we have below. But in cosine, we have fingers above. So in finding the ratio or the value of the cosine function, you are going to count the fingers above the angle. So let's say, for example, let's have this example. So let's find the ratio of cosine 90 degrees. Again, the representation of your fingers is just the same. You will just change the counting, because in cosine, we will count the fingers above. So we have here cosine 90 degrees equals, we will count the number of fingers above. So if you are looking for 90, you will fold your thumb. So how many fingers above this thumb? Okay, no fingers above 90 degrees, so we will write here 0. All over, copy 2. So square root of 0 is 0. All over 2 is 0. So your cosine 90 degrees is equal to 0. Okay? Next is cosine 60 degrees. Okay, cosine 60 degrees. So 60 degrees, where is the finger representing 60 degrees? This is your index finger. So you have to fold your index finger. And then let's count. So cosine 60 degrees equals the square root of the fingers above. So how many fingers above, or how many fingers are there above 60 degrees? So we only have 1. So we will write here 1 and then copy all over 2. So we have cosine 60 degrees equals the square root of 1 is 1 over 2. So cosine 60 degrees is 1/2. Okay, so same as with the sine, it is easy. You will just count the fingers above. For cosine 45 degrees, a while ago, we learned that sine 45 degrees is square root of 2 over 2, and so cosine 45 degrees is also square root of 2 all over 2. Now, let's see if cosine 45 degrees is also square root of 2 all over 2. So we write here cosine 45 degrees equals, where is your 45 degrees? This is your middle finger. So you have to fold your middle finger and then count the fingers above this 45 degrees. So how many fingers do we have? 1, 2. So we will write here square root of 2 and copy all over 2. So cosine 45 degrees is square root of 2 over 2. So we arrive at the same answer. Next, cosine 30 degrees. So for cosine 30 degrees, you have to fold your finger representing 30 degrees. This is your ring finger. So cosine 30 degrees equals, how many fingers above? We have 1, 2, 3. So we will write here square root of 3 over 2. So cosine 30 degrees is equal to square root of 3 over 2. Next, cosine 0 degrees. So we write here cosine 0 degrees equals, where is the finger representing 0 degrees? It is your little finger. So after that, we have to count how many fingers above. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 fingers above. So we will write here square root of 4 over 2. And let's simplify. Cosine 0 degrees equals, what is the square root of 4? Square root of 4 is 2 all over 2. So we have cosine 0 degrees is equal to 2 divided by 2 is 1. So cosine 0 degrees is equal to 1. Next, so we have now the formula for tangent theta. Remember that in finding the ratio or the value for sine and cosine, we use the left finger facing the palm. But this time, you have to flip your left finger. So instead your palm facing your face, you have to flip it. So it will look like this. Your left hand will look like this. And the formula is tan theta equals the square root of fingers above over the square root of fingers below. Okay? So let's have this example. So let's say you are going to find tangent 90 degrees. So where is your 90 degrees? Remember that 90 degrees is represented by our thumb. So here. So you are going to fold your thumb. So we have to write here tan 90 degrees equals the square root of how many fingers above 90 degrees. So how many fingers above 90 degrees? We have to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So we will write here 4 over square root of fingers below. Is there a fingers below the thumb? None. So we will write here 0. Next, simplify. Tan 90 degrees equals square root of 4 is 2 and square root of 0 is 0. So tan 90 degrees is 2 over 0. And if the denominator is 0, the result is undefined. So tan 90 degrees is undefined. So the answer to this is undefined. Next example. So we will get the value of tan 60 degrees. So your fingers representing 60 degrees is your index finger. So you have again to fold your index finger. So let's solve. Tan 60 degrees equals the square root above the fingers or above 60 degrees. So we will count how many fingers above. 1, 2, 3. So we will write here square root of 3. And for the denominator, we will count the number of fingers below. So how many fingers below? We have 1. So we will write here 1. So let us now simplify. Tangent 60 degrees equals, what is the square root of 3? Square root of 3 is still square root of 3, and the square root of 1 is 1. So tangent 60 degrees is equal to square root of 3. Okay? Next. So let's get tangent 45 degrees. So the finger that represents 45 degrees is your middle finger. So you have to fold your middle finger. So let's write here tangent 45 degrees equals, okay, the square root of the fingers above over the square root of the fingers below. So let's count how many fingers above. Above, 1, 2. So we have here 2, and fingers below we have 1, 2. So we also have here 2. So the square root of 2 over the square root of 2, we can now cancel them out. So tangent 45 degrees is equal to 1. Okay? Next example. Tangent 30 degrees. So for tangent 30 degrees, you have to fold your ring finger because your ring finger represents your 30 degrees. So we will write tangent 30 degrees equals the square root of the number of fingers above over the square root of the number of fingers below. So let's count the number of fingers above. We have 1. So we will write here 1. And the number of fingers below, we have 1, 2, 3. So we have here 3. So let's simplify. Tangent 30 degrees equals the square root of 1 is 1 over the square root of 3 is square root of 3. And if we will rationalize this, we will multiply both the numerator and the denominator by square root of 3. So tangent 30 degrees is equal to 1 times the square root of 3 is square root of 3, and square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. So tangent 30 degrees is equal to square root of 3 over 3. Okay, last example. So we will get the value or the ratio of tangent 0 degrees. So 0 degrees is represented by the little finger or the pinky. So we will write here tangent 0 degrees equals the square root of the fingers above over the square root of the fingers below. So we will now count the number of fingers above. Is there a finger above 0 degrees? No, or none. So we will write here 0. And the fingers below, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have here 4. So let us now simplify. Tangent 0 degrees equals the square root of 0 is 0 and the square root of 4 is 2. So 0 divided by 2 is tangent 0 degrees equals 0. So the measure or the ratio or the value of tangent 0 degrees is equal to 0. Okay, so that is the last example for tangent. Now, I hope you are ready for your practice exercise. So let's answer this. Let's have first the set A. Okay, I know that since you learned how to use your left hand in finding the ratio of these trigonometric functions, you will use your left hand instead of this figure. Okay, let's use your left hand. So you will use this, you will use this hand Okay, you will use this hand for the sine and cosine, while you will use this hand for the tangent. And then later on, after we get the value of the sine, cosine, and tangent, you can already get the value of its reciprocals. So let's answer. Let's use red ink. Okay. So for sine 30, okay, so this is your angle 30 degrees. So it is represented by your ring finger. So sine 30, the formula for sine is square root of the fingers below over 2. So the square root sine 30 degrees is equal to the square root of the fingers below all over 2. So we will count how many fingers below? 1. So we will write here 1. And then simplify. Sine 30 degrees is equal, the square root of 1 is 1 all over 2. So your sine 30 degrees is 1/2. So your answer here is 1/2. How about for cosine? So for your cosine, your formula is cosine 30 degrees equals the square root of fingers above all over 2. So we will count how many fingers above 30 degrees. 1, 2, 3. So we will write here square root of 3. And since square root of 3 over 2 cannot be simplified, your answer is square root of 3 all over 2. So cosine 30 degrees is equal to square root of 3 over 2. How about for the tangent? For the tangent, we will use this flip left hand. So tangent 30 degrees. 30 degrees is represented again by your ring finger. So the formula is tangent 30 degrees equals the square root of the fingers above over the square root of the fingers below. So how many fingers above? 1. So we will write here 1 over how many fingers below? 1, 2, 3. So 3. And to simplify, square root of 1 is 1 and square root of 3 is square root of 3. To further rationalize, again, multiply by square root of 3 and square root of 3. So 1 times square root of 3 is square root of 3 all over square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. So your tangent 30 degrees is square root of 3 over 3. Now, you get the value or the ratio of the trigonometric or the basic trigonometric function. So the next thing is you will just interchange the two. Interchange the numerator and the denominator. So the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. So your cosecant 30 degrees is 2. How about the reciprocal of square root of 3 over 2? That is 2 over square root of 3. And if you will rationalize this, you will multiply the numerator and the denominator by square root of 3. So we have 2 square root of 3 over 3. So this is now the value of secant 30 degrees. And the reciprocal of square root of 3 over 3 is 3 over square root of 3. Again, if you will rationalize, you will multiply the numerator by square root of 3 and the denominator by square root of 3. So 3 times square root of 3 is 3 the square root of 3 over square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. So cancel, cancel. So the value of cotangent 30 degrees is square root of 3. So did you get it, class? Okay, so proceed to B. By the way, this is a line, but it looks like arrow down. Okay, so now in this exercises, you will use your own fingers to find the value of these functions. So tangent 30 degrees plus secant 30 degrees is, so what is tangent 30 degrees? If you will go back, what is tangent 30 degrees? Tangent 30 degrees is square root of 3 over 3. So we will put here square root of 3 over 3 plus, what is secant 30 degrees? If we will go back, secant 30 degrees is equal to 2 square root of 3 over 3. So we will write here 2 square root of 3 over 3. So that is tangent 30 degrees plus secant 30 degrees. And if we will further simplify, the result will be square root of 3. So just show your solution by yourself, okay? Because it is already 50 minutes. Okay, for tangent 45 degrees and cosecant 30 degrees. So let's go back. I know, let's use your fingers. So tangent 45 is 1. Tangent 45 is 1. So this is equal to 1 plus cosecant 30 is what? So if we will go back, what is cosecant 30? That is 2. So we will write here 2 plus 2. So the answer is 3. Okay? Next is, what is sine 45 degrees? Remember that sine 45 is square root of 2 over 2. So we will write here square root of 2 over 2 times, what is cosine 45? That is also square root of 2 over 2. Minus, what is sine 30? Okay, so let's go back. Sine 30 is equal to 1/2. So we will write here minus 1/2. And if you will simplify this, the result will be 0. Okay, so the answer is 0. So for number 4, by the way, please ignore these arrow downs because in my PowerPoint presentation, this represents blank or line, but it looks like arrow down here. So next is cosecant 45. What is cosecant 45? Cosecant 45 is equal to what? Equal to square root of 2 times secant 45 is again square root of 2. So square root of 2 times square root of 2 plus 2 cotangent 30 degrees is 2 times, what is cotangent 30 degrees? Use your finger, class. Cotangent 30 degrees is square root of 3. And if you will simplify this, this will become square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2 plus 2 the square root of 3. So the answer in number 4 is 2 plus 2 the square root of 3. And for number 5, sine squared 30 degrees is equal to 1/4 plus cosine squared 45 degrees is equal to 1/2. So 1/4 plus 1/2 is equal to 3/4. So the answer in number 5 is 3/4. So for your evaluation, class, this is your evaluation. Please answer it by yourself. I hope the hand trick will help you in doing this or answering this evaluation. Good luck and thank you for listening and watching this video. Bye!